Well, I don't even know where to begin with this one. This is Kinnikuman, published by Bandai, known as Muscle in the United States. This is a wrestling game, and it's based on a very popular Japanese manga and anime. Kinnikuman is more or less about a group of superhero wrestlers. The name means muscle man in Japanese. In the United States, a series of the small toys were released under the name Muscle, millions of unusual small creatures lurking everywhere. This was the first game for the Famicom released by Bandai. Bandai has been around since the 1950s and are primarily a company that licenses popular manga and cartoon characters into toys. They also do a little bit of manufacture and distribution of anime as well. However, they are not primarily a video game company, and this is what happens when companies start making games for the Famicom lured by the success of the console. You can very easily end up with utterly reprehensible games such as this one. This game certainly looks bad, but it also plays terribly. You control a team of wrestlers. This is actually tag team wrestling. You can go to the corner and call in the other teammate at any time if you wish. You only have two moves, a punch and a jump. Of course, there are variations on this. For example, if you jump against the ropes, you will jump backwards and perhaps knock your opponent over. You can also flip your opponent over your head and do sort of a pile driver. However, the mechanics and controls of this game are utterly terrible. One thing that happens here is occasionally some sort of little power-up ball will be tossed into the ring. If your computer opponent catches it, he'll probably instantly kill you. For example, this guy right here, when he gets it, does some kind of crazy fire attack and jumps on top of you, and you pretty much lose control of your character completely as your health is slowly drained away. There's really not much you can do if the other guy happens to catch this. And here's the US version Muscle, slightly different character selection. One very intriguing thing about this game is this. Bandai didn't really develop their own video games. There actually is no developer listed on this game. It's rumored this game was actually developed by the infamous company Tosa. Tosa is a very large Kyoto-based company which has developed apparently over 1,000 games since first being formed around 1980 or so. And the unusual thing is, Tosa never actually takes credit for these games. Video game companies or developers basically hire them when they want a game developed anonymously. Tosa's name does not appear on the packaging, and they will often go so far as to actually use fake programmer names in the credits. Reportedly, Tosa has actually developed a lot of Bandai's games. Perhaps this is one of the reasons why so many of Bandai's games are so terrible. Of course, the fact that tie-in games like this are usually just released very quickly, make a quick buck anyway, I'm sure also has something to do with it. I'd go so far as to say this is probably actually the worst game released for the Famicom so far. With a game this bad, you'd think Nintendo would do everything in its power to hide the fact that it exists. Incredibly, just the opposite occurred. When third-party games finally started coming out for the NES in October of 1986, this was actually one of the first two games released. Considering all the great games that were never released in the United States, this is utterly mind-boggling.